Top 100 reactions of YouTube video. Tense exchanges between Ukraine and Russia at UN Security Council.
Cosmic87 commented.
99.99% of bots and dumb sheep here don't even know what is EU. Who created it and for what, but that's why they are sheep. TV and news is their reality lol, long live Russia and protect its borders from the invaders.
Robin.
PLZ save the civilians of Ukraine.
Vladislav said,
Why Ukraine is alone, nobody is around him. Zoom.
What a joke, Russian ambassador claiming their SA junta in Kiev while Vladimir Adolf Putler is trying to start WWIII.
Acid.
Russia didn't attack Afghanistan, Iraq, Pakistan, Syria, Libya.
L commented.
Imagine if New York get a freedom and then, NY collab with Russia. Will USA stay calm with it? The distance between Kiev and Moscow, only 10 hours.
Chem.
This is absolutely brilliant from NATO. Rapid expansion and military movement towards Russian border, then they refuse to allow Ukraine to join because they know that would cause war. Like their initial expansion to Russian border and installation of long-range missiles wouldn't cause problems.
Nathan told that.
At the end of WW1, the League of Nations was formed in order to prevent something like it from happening again. The League of Nations was dissolved, the WW2 started. At the end of WW2, the United Nations was formed in order to prevent something like it from happening again. Only time will tell if the United Nations will endure the same fate as its predecessor.
Chad said,
This isn't called a war. Explosions everywhere at Kiev. Ghost Shot 990.
Russian President. We declare war. Russian head of UN Security Council. No, it is a special military operation. UN. Oh, okay then. Go about your business.
Louis Faz.
Please Ukraine merge with Russian Federation, please. It's the only way to prevent further bloodshed.
Kevin says.
Trump is calling this a genius move by Putin.
00 commented.
If you ever feel useless, just remember about UN.
Usman told that.
Now you people are awake, millions and millions died in Yemen, Iraq and Afghanistan. So if Russia invades European country it is false, but if America and European allies invade the mentioned countries then it's liberation and restoring democracy in that particular country.
He touched my pee and liked it, said.
Ukraine. Don't interrupt me while I am speaking. Russia. Then don't ask ant questions while you are speaking me. But all jokes aside, prayers to everyone in Ukraine.
Pollies.
This ain't right, man. Ukraine just chilling and just want its own peace.
Inavi.
My people, my country. Do these politicians really think everything about the country is theirs? It's made by the people for the people.
Kema says.
We aren't aggressive against the Ukrainian population, we're only aggressive against the junta in Kiev. I think the dead and injured civilians in Mariupol, Kiev and other Ukrainian cities, well outside even the claimed territory of these bogus People's Republics, by the way, might disagree with that.
TSAID.
This guy. It's not war, it's a special military operation. It's not a refrigerator, it's a cooling storage unit. It's not a horse, it's a four-legged, hoofed mammal with a mane. It's not a robbery, it's a permanent relief of your possessions.
Saw commented.
I pray for the people in Ukraine. Russia is attacking innocent people, just like America and UK attacked Iraq for no reason other than to disable and control Iraq. Russia doing the same to Ukraine.
Second.
I'm so proud of this man and wish we were all like him. I hope all of this will end soon.
Hercules told that.
This shows that no one will help anyone till they see profit. One country should try to be more self-dependent than depending on others.
Johnny said.
Anyway, you declared a war, is the craziest and funniest sentence I've ever heard talking about something so serious.
Our tourist.
We are not being aggressive against the Ukrainian people, says someone who bombed an entire country.
Mick.
Russia should be removed from the UN Security Council immediately.
RTM commented.
If diplomacy fails, then the leaders should be blamed for it, but it will always be the people who will bear the consequences of their actions.
Cassify.
Pray for people in Ukraine, and people that have to deal with this nonsense in Russia too.
Trelf told that.
We aren't being aggressive against the Ukrainian people, yes.
Rarebit commented.
Prayers go out to Ukraine. This is madness.
Orange.
This isn't an aggression towards the Ukrainian people, just the leadership of the Ukrainian people, the livelihood of the Ukrainian people and their freedoms as sovereign people, is what he meant to say.
Cesar says.
There is no purgatory for war criminals, wow.
Chanel said.
History repeats itself. Ukraine is now in situation that Poland was in 1939.
Amines commented.
We are with you, Ukraine, you will win.
Kasartharandam told that.
This isn't a war, it's a military operation. Says the ones bombing civilian targets in Kiev.
Dinesh said.
This man has proved everyone that he can entertain anyone without using derogatory words. Love your work.
Yash.
Should I play the video, Ambassador? Please don't interrupt me. Then don't ask me questions. I'm sorry, but that's really funny.
NVOR1 commented.
This war is already a loss for Ukraine. Not just Ukraine, for Europe and even Russia. Civilians are losing their lives, and Putin is declaring bloodshed. Praying for Ukraine.
LTB7.
I feel for every single civilian or military member of Ukrainian. I wish we could do more for you.
Vasanth says.
Anything may be the issue between the countries, the ultimate sufferers are people of both nations. So I say peace, peace, and peace.
Ray said.
This isn't called a war, it's called a special military operation. Call it what you want, but there are two sides ready to fight. How is that not a war?
Karchi commented.
Russia's ambassador is absolutely despicable for saying that this is not a war when missiles and tank are being sent to Kiev as I'm writing this comment.
Random.
Okay, this is nuts. I'm sure there are lots of details I'm not aware of, but if someone is trying to avoid war and you're refusing it, then clearly you are wrong.
Red Pill told that.
Not being aggressive with the Ukrainian people literally blew a little girl to smithereens.
Isaac said.
No man has right to take and 1,000 innocent lives of this planet for his own dirty and selfish will.
Faith.
I'm completely shocked the state of the world really is going downhill. First COVID struck, and even though the world as a whole is still facing that issue, another major one arrives. A war? I thought we were done with those.
Two-Tone Tony commented.
Special military operation. Just like the ambassador said, there is no purgatory for war criminals. Maximum.
You just can see how the Ukrainian ambassador tries to hold back his tears. I am with every Ukrainian in the world right now who is suffering because of this war and this lunatic who calls himself a president.
Bell says.
I just can't see that Ukrainian ambassador literally pleading to every leader present there. It's just too much heartbreaking.
Joseph said.
This isn't a war, this is a special military operation. Pretty sure Germany said something similar to Poland in 1939.
Maria commented.
I am from Russia, and I am proud for Ukrainian representative who stayed for his country and his nation. And I am ashamed for what the government of my country does all these years. Lee.
It's not a war, it's a special military operation, ARM. You've crossed an internationally recognized border. You're firing missiles at targets nowhere near the areas no one but you recognize as independent. Only anyone else but Russian government officials would see that as a declaration of war.
Hoy told that.
Ukrainian diplomat, stop this war now, before it's too late. Russian diplomat, there is no war in Ba Sing Se.
Mrs. Arcastic Gaming said.
I can hear how much the translator doesn't want to repeat what he said. The ambassador himself is heartless.
Deborah.
He said purgatory was not an option, a direct ticket to the hotspot will be the outcome for this aggression towards his people.
Senor commented.
When you give up your nuclear weapons in the 90s expecting your allies to have your back in 2022.
Bunny.
This isn't called a war, called special military operation. More than 10 civilians have lost their lives. What kind of military operation is this?
Michael says.
This is not war, this is a special military operation. So basically war. M.E. said.
Isn't it funny? The President of Security Council is the aggressor.
Interesting commented.
We need to hope this will end as soon as possible. ABC Def.
It clearly shows that how concerned this man was for his people.
Maximus told that.
You know, it's entertaining to watch an exchange like this go down in a film or TV show, but it's an entirely different feeling when it's happening in real life, especially in real time.
Nomto said.
This isn't called a war, this is called a special military operation in the Donbass, whilst moving in forces on 3 fronts and bombing Kiev and Lviv on the complete farthest, western edge of the country.
Thotrandom boy.
We aren't being aggressive against the Ukrainian people but against the junta that is in power in Kiev. All those dead Ukrainian civilians might disagree.
Hyphen commented.
If the UN cannot drop an aggressor nation invading another member of the UN, Russia, from the Security Council, why bother? Why have it? Any decision the Security Council would make with an aggressor nation voting is a sham.
Steve.
That Ukrainian guy has some balls, props to him.
The Slugstoppa says.
The Ukrainian ambassador is so dignified in his address when compared to the typical Russian bluster. Perhaps the Russian was embarrassed having to defend the indefensible.
Space said.
Salute to this man standing up for his people while the rest of the world watching his nation slowly getting destroyed.
Greasy commented.
I love his ferocious language and command of English. He's a great speaker.
D.
These tense exchanges are way more awkward than I imagined.
The told that.
I like how the Russian representative speaks pure Russian throughout the entire meeting but only decided to speak English in retort to the Ukrainian representative.
Daniel said.
The best part is Russia chairs the UN Security Council.
Denotube.
If people believe in crooks to be nice guys, you are wrong, my friends.
Nebeprice Ivastotin Claritin Incaugentis commented.
You have invaded my country and threatened the security of its very people. It's a special military operation. My country's soldiers are dying. Civilians, both adults and children alike, are suffering just because of you. This meeting is adjourned.
Garl.
We are not being aggressive against the Ukrainian people, literal apartment buildings on fire in Ukraine.
Junior says.
Wow, a round of applause for the Ukrainian minister.
Widom 4K3R said.
Old men argue and disagree, and young men fight and die.
Donatus commented.
It's funny how Putin is giving things different names as if it justifies his actions. Let's say calling a war an operation or maybe even an argument gives him the right to legally war.
Jordan.
Ukraine's democratically elected government exists. Russia. Yep, that's definitely a military junta.
Harry told that.
War is young men dying and old men talking, Franklin D. Roosevelt. Ibrahim said.
Older men declare war, but it is the youth that must fight and die.
Divya commented.
Please stop the war. I feel sorry for Ukrainians.
Helena.
Mr. Putin, 1 week ago. We shan't attack. Haha, this is just a bluff. Now, we're attacking, but we'll only call it a military operation. Also, Russia, 30 years ago, by signing this agreement, Ukraine agrees to never buying nuclear weapons.
Deadly says.
The definition of war: a state of armed conflict between different nations or states or different groups within a nation or state. Call it what you want, Russia. This is the definition of war.
Conrad commented.
This isn't a car, it's a four-wheeled motor vehicle for personal transport. Sarkar.
This is a lose-lose situation for everyone. Ukraine will suffer. Russia will suffer. Europe and the US will suffer. This has the potential to spiral irreversibly.
Blank told that.
The only guy in the whole UN with balls to fight back. The rest is only watching the whole thing.
Vince said.
My prayers and my thoughts are with the people of the Ukraine. This should not be happening. Nobody wants war. Only the political fossils.
Inna.
But Ukrainian people are the ones who suffer, Russian Federation's ambassador.
Shaky commented.
It's not a war, it's a special military operation, and here folks is why we shouldn't expect anything from the UN. They would sooner be tightly wrapped weeks on end under issues of pedanticism than actually have any real discussions.
M.
It is a special military operation in the Donbass region. But please ignore the troops crossing from Belarus, the cruise missiles striking Kiev, the shelling of Odessa. We know these are not in the Donbass, but really, it's not a war.
He says.
What a farce, Russia as the sitting president of the UN Security Council. Conflict of interest, excuse the pun.
DeJoy said.
Honest anger of Ukraine visible, clear who is the victim and culprit.
Deteri commented.
This feels unreal, truly heartbreaking. Praying for Ukraine.
John.
My praise goes to the people of Ukraine. War would only bring suffering and death.
DRN told that.
Something about the Ukraine representative sitting alone, calling out the Russian ambassador, who is the head of the UN Security Council, sat among all those other members. It speaks volumes.
T said.
I feel for the innocent civilians who have nothing to do with this, sad face.
The bag bomb.
The Ukraine ambassador emotions says it all for Ukraine.
Russell commented.
He didn't even have the bottle to admit what his country is doing. What a coward. A man is pleading with you to stop the war and you basically say there is no war.
Steve.
Wow, I am impressed with the Ukrainian guy's speech and his command of the English language.
Felix says.
If Russia isn't immediately thrown off the UN Security Council, the entire organization should be abolished.
That was the to 100 comments of YouTube video, tense exchanges between Ukraine and Russia at UN Security Council. Leave a comment about what video we should add next and don't forget to subscribe. See ya.